I think we have to be cognizant of what our kids are doing. They don't often make the best decisions, which we often refer to as those silly things we did in high school or those silly things we did in middle school. The problem is now those silly things that we used to do, they're now caught on tape or they're posted online. And these things are out there to haunt our kids forever. Even more than ever, we have to be in tune and in touch with our kids, their use of social media and their use of their cell phones, which are now as dangerous as a loaded gun, frankly, in a lot of situations and cases.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast, your trusted source for real-world tactics that keep students safe and help them to shine online. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. Each week, I sit down with K-12 superintendents, district leaders, and community voices who are shaping digital safety. We discuss wins, struggles, and strategies used to guide students so they can be safe and successful online. Now let's get back to the conversation.
My name is Dustin Howard. I'm the superintendent right here in Clark County, which is in Winchester, Kentucky, Commonwealth of Kentucky. We've got about 5,500 glorious, wonderful students that I have the privilege of being the superintendent of around 10 schools.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today. We love Kentucky and we love every state, but we've got a team member in Kentucky, one of our amazing army of parents who does our research here at smartsocial.com. One of them has a home in Kentucky and lives there full time with her 3 kids, and we love that. Superintendent, I want to welcome you to the program, and I'm excited to ask you some safety questions and get your insights. I'm excited to ask you some parent education questions. I'm excited to get your feedback on, with your background, some dialogue starters. And then at the end, we're going to do rapid fire and get some feedback from you there. First, I want to put you on the hot seat. What type of teacher did you start out as in the beginning of your career?
I was a little bit non-traditional. I actually started out in the public school system as a school psychologist. Again, a little bit different, but taught, coached, did small groups, worked with the staff, and really kind of was more in the trenches dealing with some of the things that now are much more prevalent, like mental health and addiction and some things like that. So from there, became a principal. I was a head principal for 10 years, and now I'm in the big chair and get the opportunity to change the world.
So you're a full-on psychologist that went into, that's fantastic. That supercharges how I'm going to treat you today, because I'm going to put you on the hot seat today. I'm excited to have you. For all of our audience members here today, you know that Smart Social is all about keeping kiddos safe so they can someday be successful. And that means shining online. And we're going to teach you today some safety tips that are practical and tactical with the resident psychologist here today, the superintendent, my guest expert. Please don't ever see anything we're doing on this program as shame or, oh no, I give my kids a phone too early. We always have a light at the end of the tunnel. We call it shining online. There is a future with these tools. Just like when you give your kids the keys to a car, we don't just let them run crazy on it because they might do donuts in the driveway. What we want them to do is to learn how to go from point A to point B responsibly, and then they slowly learn to drive. And that's what we're doing with the digital tools today. All right, let's dive on in. Superintendent, after 220 plus superintendent conversations in 45 plus states here on the smartsocial.com podcast, we've heard a consistent trend. Some students are growing up in a digital world filled with powerful tech, AI, and social media now, but they're often lacking the maturity and in some cases the guidance to use it safely. The result can be sometimes more student absences, sometimes lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and nowadays AI misuse in the classroom if we're not careful. In addition, we're hearing that parents are trying to raise good kids in a world they didn't grow up in, a world where tech is now moving faster than safety policies. Teens don't know how to, or they do know how to hide apps and online behavior. They're so clever these days. And safety lessons usually come after a crisis. Superintendent, I want you to teach us, and I'm so excited about your other background as a psychologist. Are there any other trends on this topic that you've seen so we can alert other school districts before they see them?
So I think there's a couple things that we need to keep in mind on. Again, this is a different world. Kids are not different. I hear so many times, our kids are so different these days. They're not. But the world they're growing up in is. And for some of us who have kids, 2 kids, it is very different. I think we have to be cognizant of what our kids are doing. I'm not saying spy on them, but we also have to set boundaries. Our kids, their frontal cortex is not developed, which means they don't often make the best decisions, which we often refer to as those silly things we did in high school or those silly things we did in middle school. The problem is now those silly things that we used to do, they're now caught on tape or they're posted online. And instead of people forgetting it by the time we're in the 9th grade, because it happened in the 7th grade, these things are out there to haunt our kids forever, and not just within our communities. sometimes we monitor who our kids are hanging out with, and we're monitoring who they're friends with, but we don't monitor who they're friends with online or on social media. And so we could have bad influence, or frankly, not even kids interacting with our kids, predators online that take advantage of our kids, that just think just because it has a cute picture of somebody they think is their friend, it may be a criminal, frankly. So I think even more than ever, we have to be in tune and in touch with our kids, their use of social media and their use of their cell phones, which are now as dangerous as a loaded gun, frankly, in a lot of situations and cases.
Yeah, so true. I mean, I love what you said. We have to be cognizant of what our kids are doing and who they're chatting with online. We like to always relate this with parents in our parent night events. You would never just give your keys to the car and let your 15-year-old go crazy. You'd wait till a certain date and you'd teach them for 5 years what responsible driving looks like. And you don't distractive drive, you don't text, you don't drink while you're driving. You teach kids this. You've alluded to social media is just as important. What's one of your tips to keep kids safe that parents can do to start teaching them younger and earlier? And I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to put the hot seat on, because I think that you said earlier, we don't want you stalking your kids. We definitely don't. But a rich dialogue and telling kids, hey, listen, if you get a car from us, we're going to have an app on that tells how fast you're going and where you're at. And we're going to inspect the car from time to make sure your friends didn't put something illegal in the back trunk, because our whole family gets impacted. I do think, as one of the leaders in this space, Smart Social does professionally recommend parents, you have a rich dialogue and you have an understanding and a boundary of, I'm loaning you this device. And for all of you listeners out there, I'm holding up an iPhone or an Android. I'm loaning you this $800 to $1,000 device. I, at any time, can take this back just like a vehicle. And I want to know what's on it. So I want to know what you're doing. Am I wrong there? Is that too harsh? What are your thoughts on setting those boundaries?
I think they're needed. They're a must. I think even with my own kids, we had operational times, we had no cell phone times and zones. And our job as parents and as teachers, administrators, we're not here to be their friends. We're here to be the people that sometimes make them angry, sometimes put limitations on them for their own good. And that's okay. And it's okay to say no. And it's okay to turn the phone off and using the technology to our advantage. We're paying the bills. To your point, you're going to abide by our rules. I think limiting cell phones is a must. In fact, in my house, we don't keep them at night. I take them every night at a certain time because I don't trust them to not fall to the perils of addiction, frankly. And that's what happens to a lot of our students, is they physically, mentally become addicted to the device and to the likes, so much so their brain chemistry changes, frankly, to where they need it. And we have to be the stopgap to make sure that doesn't happen. And part of that is also not being apathetic or not part of the solution to just saying it's normal, or listening to them when they say, well, my other friends' parents don't take my phone or don't limit the phone. That's them mom and dad splitting in a new way between households. And you have to stay strong and understand your job is to say no often.
I'm so excited you're a psychologist, because really changing the chemistry and all that background that you have, I think that's an exciting addition you have for your district. For all of our parent listeners right now, whether you're a superintendent, whether you're a parent, whether you're a guardian, we love you, guardians, grandmas, parents, or anyone in between, you know that we reach millions of kids a year in our parent night events. Parents ask us, and I want to give you a trend that we're seeing. Hey, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger online? And our superintendent guest here today has alluded to this. There's people online that might not be a 13-year-old, even though they look 13. Let's hear from a real student about how she might help a friend recognize red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it, because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start. If they feel a sense of being uncomfortable, or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Parents, you know that our whole program is taught by real teens. We encourage you to come out. And the reason for that is Not only do we have teens teaching the program, we have the latest app guides to bring you up to speed, parents. It's not an easy time. You got to be an expert at so many things. We have the best parent app guides on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, and 450 more. Smart Social has an army of real parents nationwide here in the United States doing our research to bring you up to speed in 3 to 5 minutes. We have our live events we'd like to invite you to. They're complimentary. Your district's probably a partner if you're watching this episode. We've got AI for student success, huge hit right now, and we've got a replay if you miss it. It's also in Espanol with the only AI training course in Espanol natively, in Mandarin, and in English. Sneaky ways video apps keep teens watching. We've got a bunch of those. Every single month it's unique, and a lot of the most latest trends. It's a dangerous world out there, but we want to keep you updated. Parents, remember, weekly live events, there's giveaways. We give away a Kindle, a 3D printer, a Bluetooth speaker just about every single week, every Friday. Teens are leading the program, a premium parent newsletter. Help us protect your kids, and you can win some cool prizes. Superintendent, I'm back with you. In addition to these 220 interviews with your peers nationwide, 45 plus states, a lot of parents will say, or a lot of superintendents will say, my community's a little different. I agree, but everybody seems to be giving their kids exactly the same phone. And you even said, and TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram are all the same. You even said kids are the same. The biological way that the anger happens and addiction and stuff like that. I love that you said that. Let's dive into that here in a sec. We're hearing from communities, many parents feel overwhelmed trying to keep up with fast-moving online trends and digital safety risks we're hearing. In some cases, students are finding very clever ways to increase their screen time and bend the rules, especially when the expectations at school and back to school differ significantly from those at home. Here's why I love your insight, Superintendent. What trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And in addition to those parent engagement tips and trends and ideas, where do you feel families are struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
I think some of the pressure point is time, always being on the run, always being involved in so many different activities. And so I think parents often put their time and energy on just checking boxes and getting their kids to their events, to their things, and then do not have time. But it's like anything else. If you're going to get in shape, you're going to be healthy, you have to make time for certain things. Just like you make time for an early morning workout, or you make time for reading because you listen to books on the phone. You have to make time to have conversations with your kids. You have to make time to make yourself informed on the dangers and the risks, the loopholes that your kids are finding, and not if they're finding it, they are finding to hide things from you. Utilize your school system. A lot of school systems have great information. Josh, you guys have wonderful materials that you can provide staff, but you can also provide parents, guardians. Another pain point for us is a lot of our parents aren't the actual guardians. So we have a lot of foster parents, or we have grandparents. So you talk about living in a world that this technology that, some of our grandparents that are raising kids, that, they had 3 channels on their TVs, much less a handheld computer with their grandkids that they're now raising. So also their local police department is a great resource. You can actually take your phones in here in Winchester, Kentucky. The Winchester PD will actually scan your kid's phone. They will teach you, they do lessons, find information for you. So again, identifying resources within your own community is another great way to stay informed. Best way, have a conversation and make sure that you're asking the right questions and you're making your kids talk to you about what's going on in their lives, and again, putting those boundaries on.
Jeff Foxworthy used to have a joke. It was when he was a kid, there were only 3 TV stations. And he would say on a big night when there was a State of the Union address with the president, he'd go and he'd like cry on stage. He'd go, and the president is on all 3. And he was a kid and he didn't want to watch the president. He wanted to watch a cartoon or something. Right. I mean, that's the world where it come from. Parents, grandparents, we love you. If I had pom-poms, I'd be cheering for you, making the difficult decisions to have tough parenting love on your kids, as a superintendent said, instead of trying to be their friend. And I love that you said that earlier. The school district and the principals and the counselors and the teachers are there to help your kids learn as rapidly as possible, become proficient in the subject matter they're supposed to learn, also to become resilient in the future. And our dream at Smart Social is that when they're 25, they are a young adult ready to navigate this world in their career, move out from mom and dad's house, and do great things. to navigate the digital complexities in the digital world, to use the tools, right? But it's tough. Grandparents grew up with 3 channels, and here we are, wireless charging and an overwhelming memes every week. There's a new meme, right? Okay. For all of our parent attendees, I want to give you just a little teaser, and then I want to get the superintendent's input on this. One of our big events, and we do this every single month. We've got lots of events, big themes. You can watch the replay in your native language in 12 languages and native in English, Espanol, and Mandarin. No one's left behind. We have a big one called Sneaky Ways Video Apps Keep Teens Watching. A lot of teens will come to this event with their parents, and it's all about understanding the subtle ways video apps keep teens captivated. You as a parent will learn strategies to help them balance screen time, to help them balance it, right? Okay, so one of the biggest trends we get as we reach thousands of people just with this event is, Josh, what are some tips to help my teen manage their screen time? Well, let's hear from 2 real teens with tips on how to reset that screen time.
I just try to hold myself accountable about how much time I'm spending, because you can get lost really easily. While you're doing it, you think 30-second videos, what's the harm in that? But then when you've launched 4 hours out of your day, you feel a lot of regret. Why would I spend 5 hours scrolling on this app before bed when I could have been getting more sleep or being more productive throughout my day? My mom, she always lets me know when I'm just dead scrolling on TikTok for hours. Like, she usually tells me how long it's been. You should probably get up and go do the things that you need to do. So besides holding yourself accountable, it's really helpful if you have a parent or someone that cares about you to hold you accountable for how much time you're losing on those video apps.
Some techniques I use to stop myself from getting sucked into social media is being very aware of why I'm on there, as well as understanding how it's addictive. Even though it can be fun to just sit on the phone and scroll or immerse myself in it, keeping in mind the things I need to do and setting aside the time to do that rather than falling into it like a trap.
Parents, these are real teen interns, part of our Teen Voices program nationwide. If you want your teens to be a part of our program, you can go to thefrontofsmartsocial.com and learn more. Superintendent, I want to get your feedback on some dialogue starters that I want to share with the parents and listeners right now. Parents, here's some questions you can ask your teen to have an open conversation and help them evaluate the quality of their screen time. You can steal these, run with them, screenshot them. The goal is to use them either around the dinner table or in the car ride to school or home from school or wherever you want. You can make these your own. These are ideas. It's a menu of suggestions. By no means is this therapy, psychology, or medical advice, but it's been really helpful to parents nationwide. We hope that you'll try it or set it aside for when it's useful. If you do try these and your kids roll their eyes, you still get 5 extra points from Smart Social. Because if they roll their eyes at you, it means you're trying to do the things that are good for them. The first question you may consider is, how do you feel after your screen time? And it's not a yes or no answer. It's, well, duh, mom. I mean, and they start to have to think about how they feel. Like, I didn't think about that. Then we dive into, hey, does that app or activity that you're doing online make you feel stronger or weaker after 1 hour? How do you feel after 1 hour? This gets more specific if you like. What screen time activities or apps make you feel stronger? What do you mean stronger? Well, I don't know. After 2 hours of them, you feel vibrant. And well, maybe when I'm on YouTube and I'm learning guitar or I'm cooking or okay. And you're diving into those activities that make your kid, that light them up. Right. And then what activities make you feel more focused or relaxed? You probably won't see them say TikTok or Instagram, because after that, their brain is firing differently. I'm not a psychologist, but we hear from the superintendents all over the country and it seems to hurt them. And then how much time, son or daughter, do you think is healthy, right? Wait, what? Yeah. Well, I don't know. After an hour on TikTok, I'm really not happy. Okay. So what do you think that means? We're trying to pull out for them. Well, maybe 30 minutes. Okay. Superintendent, what would you add to this? And what tips do you have on parents, how they can ask their kids these dialogue starters to build a good relationship with their kids?
Sure. I think first and foremost, we have to, as adults, model the way. If we're the ones that are always in front of our kids on our phones, it's very hard to have a conversation if that's your routine. As you sit quietly at a restaurant or at the dinner table. So check yourself before you can have a conversation with your kid. The other thing is, I would probably be doing something. A lot of kids will open up when they're not thinking about the deep conversation. If you're a dad, go shoot some hoops with your son. A lot of psychology into that, because they'll be pretty honest, because they're not thinking you're evaluating them on their answer. We're just having fun doing nails. Sons, daughters, whoever do nails, you do an activity as you're having some of these conversations. It'll take the awkwardness away, and the conversation will flow more naturally. Again, you have to understand, a lot of our kids are addicted to some of these things. So don't be surprised if you get kicked back or they start getting angry or agitated. And it's a process. So you're not going to change your students' usage of a cell phone on one conversation. Consistency, 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 and having those conversations to mold their behavior and go from, some kids are on the phone 20 plus hours, frankly. So if you can get it down to 16 and then 8 and then 5, so understand that change happens, but it happens over time with consistency and consistent behavior.
I love that. Such great tips. All right, we're going to go to the rapid fire questions. Superintendent, I'm put you on the hot seat. I need 30-second answers from you here. And my first question for you is, what can parents do to help their teens reset their screen time?
I think parents can help their teams reset their screen time by starting. I think putting limits at certain times, and start small. Again, dinner, an hour in the evening, and then also setting times that they're not going to have phones anymore.
I love it. Superintendent, how do autoplay and these algorithm-driven feeds and the addiction at home impact student focus and mental health at school?
So algorithms are real. Algorithm-driven feeds, they impact kids far beyond what we understand, frankly. It causes addiction because they are literally putting content into your kid's mind and doing it in a very systematic way. It's super engaging, but sometimes not in a good way, where their brain chemistry is changing. And then we're trying to teach them the Pythagorean theorem at school. Well, that's not nearly as exciting as the pings that they're getting off of their phone. So I think it can absolutely carry over into their performance at school.
Yeah, so true. All right, Superintendent, what's one sign that a teen's video app usage is shifting from entertainment to addiction?
I think there's a couple key signs that teens are becoming addicted. One is they can no longer control. The other, they are anxious or they become angry. If they become angry, they can even start reaching for their phone and it's not there. Literal signs of withdrawal. Just think about it being as addictive as crack cocaine. And I don't throw that out lightly. There's actually a book about it. And that is some of the signs. So almost like the grief process where they miss it and then they become very angry and sometimes violent. We see that in the school system with our no cell phone policies, but those are some good signs.
Yeah. Superintendent, you took a lot of time out of your busy day to spend time with us. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, 100% completely, Josh.
Thank you so much. To all of our audience members, remember, there's no shame here, but it's all about keeping your kiddos safe, get that rich dialogue going so we can keep them successful in their future, on their trajectory to the future. A big part of being successful means we learned how to positively online brand them in a good way so that when a future employer Googles them or sees their resume and tries to tie everything back, they get a real life version of their online resume that's positive, that's professional, that's forward looking. It shows the skills and the volunteer work and what they're doing. We want your kids to exist online in a safe way, not so others can find out where you live, but in a way that's professional so that when we launch them in the future, there's no pranks online or photos that they aren't proud of, but there's good stuff that helps them with their career and helps your family to look great. Also, parents, one of our biggest pro tips is no matter what you're posting online, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because you are the first teacher. You are where your kids are going to model. I'm Josh Ochs, the founder of smartsocial.com. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks for spending time with the smartsocial.com podcast. If today's insights were useful, please share the episode with a fellow parent or educator and subscribe so you never miss our next conversation. And parents, make sure to join one of our next live online events each week to keep your family safe and also enter for a chance to win cool prizes. You can learn more at smartsocial.com. I'm your host, Josh Ochs, and parents, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching what you're doing online. I'll see you on the next episode.